Well, Becky, should we get this going? And it's going to be recorded anyway, so we can,
Sounds good.
distribute it to the masses if they have interest afterwards. So
Sure. Okay. So thanks for jumping on to everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about the MOUs, kind of the process that we found ourselves in this year with the COVID environment. And then we'll open it up for questions. Actually, as we go along, if you have questions, just jump in. I think it'll be easier that way. So there at the national level, the union and the agency gave us guidance that we were going to roll over our annual leave and our basic watch schedule MOUs from 2020, and that the adjustments that we could make had to do with staffing numbers and then kind of some of the leave periods. So, and then dates. So obviously we had to fit it into the year coming up. So we have this rollover agreement that kind of articulates the changes. So in our basic watch schedule, or I'm sorry, in our annual leave agreement, wait a minute, what am I saying here? Sorry. Okay, let's start with our basic watch schedule. Sorry, I'm my glasses aren't working quite as well as I'd like them to. But anyway, we'll start with basic watch schedule. Essentially, we're not going to start any later than October 25th. And the changes of days off will begin in pay period 2, which correlates to January 3rd, 2021. And then as far as annual leave goes, the agreement lasts from January 3rd to January of 2021 to January 1st of 2022. Again, it'll be no later than October 25th. So we'll start bidding days off and annual leave on the same day. Our primetime leave period will be January 3rd to January of 21 to January 1st of 22. And then we did make some changes in terms of leave opportunities based on number of people. So in area 1, there will be 3 leave opportunities for the entire primetime leave period. Then there'll be a 4th on Labor Day, which is May 31st, the 4th of July, oh wait, Memorial Day, which is May 31st, 4th of July, Labor Day, which is September 6th, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then there'll be a 5th opportunity on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And that's just because of how their traffic falls and what they were, we looked at the kind of how much overtime was used last year and kind of the staffing challenges they had over some of those busy ski country days. That's the why behind the changes there.
yeah, and if I can just add, Becky, it was essentially just redistributing that week that they have over Christmas.
Right.
Christmas Eve and Christmas aren't necessarily the busy days. The days surrounding that, they were running into some staffing issues. So this just kind of redistributed that.
Right. And the other, it used to be that they would, so if you look at the next section, what area 2s through 6 got, they got 3 opportunities for the whole primetime leave period, then with a 4th, the week of Thanksgiving, and then the week of Christmas. So instead of giving those weeks, we split them out on days that were not as crucial for area 1 people to be there, given their staffing levels. And then TMU has even more challenging staffing levels. So they have 1 leave opportunity for the whole primetime leave period, with a 2nd for spring break week, the week of Memorial Day, the week of the 4th, the week of Christmas, and I'm sorry, the week of Thanksgiving, and then Christmas to New Year's weeks. So that's the leave opportunities. I feel like I'm on Uncle Toad's Wild Ride here.
Sorry, Becky.
That's okay.
I didn't know I was gonna.
And then section 5 is essentially the same in terms of what gets redistributed. We just had to change the dates. So at the conclusion of round 2 bidding, any third leave opportunity not selected May 23rd to September 11th of 21 shall be removed. And then this agreement expires on the last day of 2021 leave year, which is January 2nd. And we signed it on October 1st. So we will take questions if you have them. Sorry, that kind of fumbled through that. So I'm happy to try to answer your questions.
So as far as, just so you guys know, I know this is kind of like a different looking MOU than we're probably used to. It's because our previous MOUs are still intact. So I've sent those out to all of you guys. The MOUs from last year are pretty much just rolling over. All the language in there is staying the same, except with the exception to, you know, these dates essentially. So.
And are you going to have those in the bid books as well?
Yeah. So I
Do
sent
you have a
out
bid book anymore, or we have?
not really. There's digital copies, and then you can also access them from the Bid ATC website. This one plus the other 3. So, but are there any questions? Okay, well, we can roll into the overtime MOU, which is has the most changes, I guess, for next year. Let me just pull that up real quick here. And if you have questions at the end for any of it, you know, we'll get those even for the previous one. So, okay, so MOU, or for our, gosh, overtime. Maybe shouldn't do these on Mondays.
Right.
So this MOU is effective starting January 3rd in the same time frame as our leave year. Section 4, A and B are going to still be the same as far as how the overtime records are maintained. The big change will be in Part C. So if you're going to move, if you're new to the overtime rosters, you will be credited with the average, along with if you change from the prefer to work to the do not prefer to work overtime roster, it'll be the average hours of your crew on the same roster. And then if your RDOs change as well. And then when you bid, you'll indicate in that first round of bidding whether you prefer to work overtime or not. Gosh, I don't know why this does this. It's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
I know. And then everything else will be about the same. Section 5, A and B will stay the same on how they're going to assign the overtime. They will do everything in their power to not assign you overtime on your RDOs when you have leave adjacent. But there's a possibility that that could happen. But they'll exhaust you know, every qualified and unqualified person prior to that. Part C here, area 1, we put in language to satisfy the, or to help out with their clearance delivery line. So this is new. I think they're, Becky, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to put out a memo to kind of try this December for some of their peak busy days. But there's numbers 1 through 4. That's going to be the process for selecting a volunteer from their solicitations. There was a lot of back and forth, kind of that last sentence there, overtime hours for Area 1 clearance delivery will begin at 0 and will be tracked separately from the overtime lists in Section 4. The reason that we kind of came, and we put a lot of this on Area 1 and what they've seen in the past, since I know I've never worked the clearance delivery line and many people on the e-board hadn't. But the reason we decided to start at 0 is it's a unique experience aside from the overtime portion of it. And they were noticing there's always an area that has way more overtime and an area that has way less. And that person in the way less category would get a majority of the overtime opportunities. And so that's kind of the reasoning behind those starting at 0 for, you know, everybody that volunteers. Let's see here. Let's go to the next page if I can get this thing to, oh, there it is. It's weird. Okay. I do not know why it does that. I don't know if you can see this up here in the part D, but that essentially, we've had this in the MOU in the past. If you prefer not to work overtime, you will get a request put back into web schedules to go back to an RDO. It was out for a couple of years. We took some surveys at the end of last year, and it was something that people wanted to see again, and management agreed. And then the part E, we kind of took out some language. There used to be language in there that for fatigue mitigation purposes, if you had a mid shift that was in need for overtime outside of 7 days, they would put the backup, they would use backup priorities to fill that, and then put the overtime on the day shift. We're fairly certain that was in reference to the fatigue MOU, which is now in the 7210.3, and we couldn't find anything that referenced that specific thing. So we just took it out. So the overtime will be placed where the overtime is needed. And then section 6 is the same, just with that Saturday night or Sunday morning overtime, the 15 minutes, and that won't count against your overtime hours. This agreement will expire with the other MOUs on January 1st of 2022, and we signed it on October 13th. So those are the big changes for overtime. One thing I do want to say about overtime is, like I said, we've taken surveys. Most of the things that are in this MOU are very like 50-50 split, especially with adjusting hours, not adjusting hours. So we'll do it this year. We can do another survey maybe mid next year and see how people are feeling about things, and, you know, make those adjustments, you know, as needed, or negotiations, I guess, as needed with management. So, but that's what we have for overtime and the other MOUs. So we can open up to questions on MOUs, on bidding. We are going to get started on October 25th, 8 a.m. We have the bid office staffed. I think most areas are putting out some sort of bid schedule that your rep should be putting out or getting to you guys. And there'll be copies of those in the bid office as well. And we'll be utilizing the bid ATC website. So yeah, what kind of questions do you guys have? Comments, anything? Wow, this is easy, Becky.
Yeah, hearing none. Okay, is anybody having a hard time figuring out how to unmute their microphone?
I guess the only question I have is, so for round 1, you have to call into the bid office, and then subsequent rounds, you can just use the bid ATC at home.
Dave, I think this year you'll be able to use the bid ATC for round 1 as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll send out more information on that with a little tutorial of how to log in and do a bid, a little video tutorial, probably Friday or Saturday, you know, closer to when we actually start. So it's fresh. But you also have the option to call in if you prefer.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if you find that you have questions after this time, certainly you can, you know, shoot us a message, find us in the hallway, talk to your area reps or OMs, because we don't want you kind of wondering about the process or about, you know, kind of what the rules are. So please bring all questions as you have them. If you don't want to answer or ask them in this forum, I get it. It's a little bit wacky. So, okay.
Okay, well, thanks, Becky, for making the time to do this with us. So.
No problem.
Okay, and well, happy bidding on Sunday, guys.
All right.
Thanks, bye.